Today we are going on a tour of the battlefields of the Western Front and we are going to learn about an experience of a soldier. To begin, does anyone know where the First World War took place?
It started in the Western Front.
Yes, it started on August 14, 1914 when Germany crossed the border into Belgium. Does anybody know what year the First World War was?
1914 to 1918.
Correct. Now we are going to get ready to start. Is everyone excited? Excellent, let's get started. This is the map between the battles of Germany and France. The main reason of the start of the war was due to an assassination of Archduke Ferdinand on Sunday, June 28, 1914. He was an Austria-Hungarian prince. He was killed by the Black Hand, who was a Siberian nationalist. The way that Austria-Hungarian responded to the death was by issuing an ultimatum to Siberia. Siberia rejected the ultimatum, which gave the Austria-Hungarian a reason to declare war on Siberia. Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, Romania, Japan, and the United States allied with Siberia, forming the Allied powers. Germany, Bulgaria, and Ottoman Empire allied with the Austria-Hungarian, forming the Central Powers. Children, this is Peter. Peter is a German soldier from the battles. He is going to take us on a journey and tell us more about his life as a soldier.
Hey everyone, my name is Peter. I joined the German forces at the age of 18 as a volunteer. This is what it looks like to be on the front line. Many may think that the same people are on the front line all the time. However, this is not the case. We do a rotation for others to get some rest or for other soldiers to go home. We do rotations like this because it will dehumanize you by all the things you have to do and see. It is also important for rotations to ensure good health and hygiene. It is important for us to be able to take baths to better prevent the spread of lice. Here are the trenches. The trenches are not all that great. You would have slime on one hand and terrors of shell fire on the other. There are also thousands of men in them at once and seem to have no room for movement. We do everything in them. We even get haircuts in the trenches. They seem good for shelter because they are wrapped with barbed wire, but we still have to worry about the rain, lice, and rats. Since we are all so close and are always in the trenches, we store everything in there, from diaries, journals, and thousands of pictures. The weapons that we use are bombs that go to the other side's trenches, hand grenades, rifles, and the most used one is the knife and clubs. Sometimes we have to use hand-to-hand combat. We use poison gas because it is effective. Machine guns are also used. In war, it is important for us to have distractions away from the front line to keep us sane by playing card games and gambling. We also play sports such as football, which not only takes our mind away from the war, but also teaches us military skills as well. Much like football, if you make the wrong move, you get tackled. But in war, if you make the wrong move, it could result in death. There is nothing easy about this war. The battle scenes are horrific and traumatizing. It is not an easy fight, but with great training and discipline, it helps us to continue the fight. During our training, they would use scare tactics to get us familiar with the craziness and fears of the war. Not only were scare tactics used to help prepare us for war, but also for obedience. Officers would punish anyone who dared to disobey a single order. One of the greatest ways to get an army to work together to win battles is by getting the troops to stay loyal. Loyalty and courage are taken so seriously that failure to follow these can result in the death sentence. I have seen many of my fellow comrades executed by our own army because they showed cowardness. Being a coward shows disloyalty, which you are then looked at worse than the enemy. Not only do we have to cope with the horrors of the battles, but also the anxiousness of waiting. The waiting can cause one to go insane, and many, such as myself, think that we're actually going to die of boredom. To help cope with this, we're given different tasks to keep our minds busy. We use humor to try to bring as much light to the situation as possible. War is very sad and depressing, and the only way to get through the days is by trying to be as positive as possible. Attitude is key. Alcohol also plays a role in calming down our nerves. Many soldiers were wounded and lost consciousness or were badly disoriented by the explosion of a huge shell or the impact of bullets and artillery fragments on their bodies. The biggest worry that we all have is if they are going to wake up and if so, how long it would take for them to open up their eyes. We have to receive some type of first aid training just in case the medical team cannot get to them fast enough. Something that gets to you is having to hear the cries for help and see how much pain they are in, or seeing them die right in front of you. When injured, the nurses try to comfort you to the best of their ability, and sometimes that is all they can do. I myself have experienced being injured in the battle, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. When I first woke up, I was in utter shock and just wanted to know how long I have been unconscious and wanted to find my watch. I remember getting up to try to figure out what happened, and the pain was too much to handle, which made me lose consciousness again. For hours straight, I kept losing and gaining consciousness. When the stretcher bearers finally arrived, it was a long, hard, dangerous journey back to safety due to the heavy mud, shell holes, and barbed wire. When I had arrived at the hospital and regained consciousness after the surgery, a nurse had to explain to me what happened and how to help calm me down. When I was there, I saw many of my other fellow soldiers who had legs and arms amputated, and many had been blind. For us soldiers, letters to and from home were a big deal because they allowed us to keep in touch with the life that we left behind. They also remind us of the reason why we are here and help us to continue fighting.
Thank you, Peter, for telling us about your experience. Now it's time for us to return. Overall, in 1917, there were 61,500 operations performed under anesthetics. I hope everyone enjoyed the tour of the battlefields of the Western Front and learned a lot about what it would be like as a soldier on the front. You can find the information below.